We're still talking about the Rosary. Look at this one. This is from a dear friend of mine, Araceli. She has a whole bunch of heirloom rosaries, and not all of them are this big. She actually asked me at an event, take whatever rosary you want, I'll give it to you. And I took this one, and you know what she said? Of course you did. This one is blessed, and I pray with it in the morning. It's absolutely awesome. And I feel so powerful. This, Saint Padre Pio says, is the weapon of our times, and I could seriously, physically hurt people with this, but it's even more potent and powerful from a spiritual aspect. And we're going to get into that today on Saturday with Kendra. I finally found something If you're not sure about the promises of the Rosary, check out my last Saturday with Kendra. We talk about the promises and why you must pray the Rosary. There should be no other devotion without the Rosary being in your life every single day. Now we're going to talk about a couple more things that are in the wonderful book, The Secrets of the Rosary. And this one is about miracles. I'm going to read you a little something from The Secret of the Rosary because I think it's super important to know that there are some priests that do not pray the Rosary, that there are some priests that actually think it is wrong for us to pray the Rosary, and we want to call that out. And it is the 10th rose. While St. Dominic was preaching the Rosary in Carcassonne, a heretic made fun of the miracles and the 15 mysteries of the Holy Rosary. And this prevented other heretics from being converted. As a punishment, God suffered 15,000 devils to enter this man's body. 15,000 devils to represent the 15 heresies of the mysteries. If you think about the 3 initial mysteries, we're going to keep the luminous mysteries over to the side because they were not around when this book was written. But when you look at the 3, the joyful mysteries was the Annunciation and the life of Jesus, the sorrowful mysteries, which was the passion and his death, and then the glorious mysteries, which was his resurrection, and of course, Mary being assumed into heaven. So this is the life of Jesus and Mary. His parents took him to Father Dominic, ironically, to be delivered from the evil spirits. He started to pray and begged everyone who was there to say the Rosary out loud with him. And at each Hail Mary, Our Lady drove 100 devils out of the heretic's body, and they came out in the form of red-hot coals. After he had been delivered, he abjured his former errors and was converted and joined the Rosary Confraternity. Several of his associates did the same, having been greatly moved by his punishment and by the power of the Rosary. The learned Franciscan Carthagena, as well as several other authors, says that an extraordinary event took place in 1482. The Venerable James Sprenger and other religious of his order were zealously working to reestablish the devotion to the Holy Rosary and also to erect a confraternity in the city of Cologne. Unfortunately, 2 priests who were famous for their preaching ability were jealous of the great influence they were exerting through preaching the Rosary. So, these 2 fathers spoke against this devotion whenever they had a chance. And as they were very eloquent and had a great reputation, they persuaded many people not to join the confraternity. Here we go, pride and jealousy. Me, it's all about me. Come and praise me. One of them, bound and determined to achieve his wicked end, wrote a special sermon against the Rosary and planned to give it the following Sunday. But when it came time for the sermon, he never appeared. And after a certain amount of time waiting, somebody went to fetch him. He was found dead, and evidently had died all alone without anyone to help him, and without seeing a priest. After convincing himself that death had been due to natural causes, the other priest decided to carry out his friend's plan and to give a similar sermon on another day. However, When the day came for him to preach and it was time to give the sermon, God punished him by striking him down with paralysis, which deprived him both of the use of his limbs and of his power of speech. Kind of ironic, isn't it? At last he admitted his sin and likewise that of his friend, and immediately in his heart of hearts he silently besought Our Lady to help him. He promised her that if she would only cure him, he would preach the Holy Rosary with as much zeal as that with which he had formerly fought against it. For this end he implored her to restore his health and speech, which she did, and finding himself instantaneously cured, rose up like another Saul, a persecutor turned defender of the Holy Rosary. He publicly acknowledged his former error, and ever after preached the wonders of the Most Holy Rosary with great zeal and eloquence. I am quite sure that freethinkers and ultra-critical people of today will question the truth of the stories in this little book, in the very same way that they have always questioned most things. But all that I have done has been to copy them from very good contemporary writers, and also, in part, from a book that was written only a short time ago, The Mystical Rose Tree, by the Reverend Antonin Thomas, O.P. I agree that we must be neither too credulous nor too critical, and that we should remember that virtue takes the middle course, keeping a happy medium in all things in order to find just where the truth and virtue lie. But on the other hand, I know equally well that charity easily leads us to believe all that is not contrary to faith or morals. Quote, "Charity believeth all things," unquote. That's 1 Corinthians 13:7. In the same way, pride induces us to doubt even well-authenticated stories on the plea that they are not to be found in the Bible. This is one of the devil's traps. Heretics of the past who denied tradition, capital T, have fallen into it, and overcritical people of today are falling into it too without even realizing it. People of this kind refuse to believe what they do not understand or what is not to their liking, simply because of their own spirit of pride and independence. When that one heretic was ripping the rosary to the world, God cast in 15,000 devils in the man. And all the people that were praying the rosary were the ones that were casting out devils 100 at a time that came out in the form of hot coals. And then the other two priests who were heretics. There's another proof that the devils truly hate the rosary. This is why St. Padre Pio says that the rosary is the weapon of our times, because Mary steps on the serpent's head. Mary is so important on this journey. Mary was assumed into heaven. There is no body of Mary anywhere. Not a Protestant can find it, not a Baptist, not a Satanist. Mary was assumed into heaven just like Jesus, her body and her soul. And why wouldn't she? She was the mother of God. She gave up her entire life. She was sinless. She was a virgin, and she was overcome by the Holy Spirit to give birth to the Savior of the world, and dedicated her life, her and St. Joseph, to protect Jesus. Let's see what the devils think of the rosary and its power. This is the 33 rows in the Secrets of the Rosary, and this is a diabolical possession. When St. Dominic was preaching the rosary near Carcassonne, an Albigensian was brought to him who was possessed by the devil. St. Dominic exorcised him in the presence of a great crowd of people. So this just wasn't St. Dominic and this man. It appears that over 12,000 had come to hear him preach. The devils who were in possession of this wretched man were forced to answer St. Dominic's questions in spite of themselves. They said that, number one, there were 15,000 of them in the body of this poor man because he had attacked the 15 mysteries of the rosary. Two, they went on to testify that by preaching the rosary, he put fear and horror into the very depths of hell, and that he was the man that they hated most throughout the whole world because of the souls which he snatched from them through devotion to the Holy Rosary. Number 3, they then revealed several other things. St. Dominic put his rosary around the Albigensian's neck and asked the devils to tell him who, of all the saints in heaven, was the one they feared the most, and who should therefore be the most loved and revered by men. At this, they let out such unearthly screams that most of the people fell to the ground, faint from fear. Then, using all their cunning, so as to not answer, the devils wept and wailed in such a pitiful way that many of the people wept also, out of purely natural pity. The devil spoke through the mouth of the Albigensian, pleading in a heart-rending voice, "Dominic, Dominic, have mercy on us. We promise you that we will never hurt you. You have always had compassion for sinners and those in distress. Have pity on us, for we are grieving straits. We are suffering so very much already, so why do you delight in heightening our pains? Can you be satisfied with our suffering without adding to it? Have pity on us, have pity on us." St. Dominic was not one with moved by the pathos of these wretched spirits, had told them that he would not let them alone until they had answered his questions. Then they said they would whisper the answer in such a way that only St. Dominic would be able to hear. The latter firmly insisted upon their answering clear and out loud. Then the devils kept quiet and refused to say another word, completely disregarding St. Dominic's orders. So he knelt down and prayed this to Our Lady. "O powerful and wonderful Virgin Mary, I implore you by the power of the most holy Rosary, order these enemies of the human race to answer me." No sooner had he made this prayer than a glowing flame leaped out of the ears, nostrils, and mouth of the Albigensian. Everyone shook with fear, but the fire did not hurt anyone. Then the devils cried, "Dominic, we beseech you, by the passion of Jesus Christ and by the merits of his Holy Mother and all of the saints, let us leave the body of this man without speaking further, for the angels will answer your question whenever you wish. After all, are we not liars? So why should you want to believe us? Please don't torture us any more. Have pity on us." Aren't they clever? "Woe unto you, wretched spirits, who do not deserve to be heard," St. Dominic said, and kneeling down, he prayed to Our Lady. "O most worthy Mother of Wisdom, I am praying for the people assembled here who have already learned how to say the angelic salutation properly." Now, let's stop for a moment. The angelic salutation, that was when the Archangel St. Gabriel came down to Mary. That's what the Hail Mary is based on. He was saying, "Mary, you're full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the womb of your womb, Jesus," because yes, you're going to give birth to Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, we ask her to intercede for us always. She is the Mother of God. Why wouldn't we go to her? To go to her Son. That's her only job. So that is the angelic salutation, and that is what the Rosary is based on, the Bible and St. Gabriel's message. So let's repeat that. "O most worthy Mother of Wisdom," with a capital W, the Mother of God, wisdom. "I am praying for the people assembled here who have already learned how to say the angelic salutation properly. Please, I beg of you, force your enemies to proclaim the whole truth and nothing but the truth about this, here and now, before the multitude." Remember how many people were watching this? St. Dominic had hardly finished his prayer when he saw the Blessed Virgin near at hand, surrounded by a multitude of angels. She struck the possessed man with a golden rod that she held and said, "Answer my servant Dominic at once." Remember, the people neither saw nor heard Our Lady, but only St. Dominic. Then the devil started screaming, "O you who are our enemy, our downfall, and our destruction, why have you come from heaven just to torture us so grievously? O advocate of sinners, you who snatch them from the very jaws of hell, you who are the very sure path to heaven, must we, in spite of ourselves, tell the whole truth and confess before everyone who it is who is the cause of our shame and our ruin? Oh, woe unto us, princes of darkness! Then listen well, you Christians. The mother of Jesus Christ is all-powerful, and she can save her servants from falling into hell. She is the sun, S-U-N, which destroys the darkness of our wiles and subtlety. It is she who uncovers our hidden plots, breaks our snares, and makes our temptations useless and ineffectual. We have to say, however reluctantly, that not a single soul who has really persevered in her service has ever been damned with us. I mean, come on. How awesome is that? One single sigh that she offers to the Blessed Trinity is worth far more than all the prayers, desires, and aspirations of all the saints. Now, I've heard Father Ripperger say this before. I didn't know that it was actually from these demons that are telling us the truth about Mary. Think about that. One sigh of Mary to the Holy Trinity is worth far more than all the prayers, desires, and aspirations of all the saints. Come on, people, let's go to Mary. We fear her more than all the other saints in heaven together, and we have no success with her faithful servants. Many Christians who call upon her when they are at the hour of death, and who really ought to be damned according to our ordinary standards, are saved by her intercession. That's what she does. She intercedes in our lives to God to save us. If you remember the last video that I did, she did that with that man who was wearing the rosary but didn't pray it. She took the scales out, remember? And the one that he had that was way low was all the rosary people that were praying the rosary that saw the rosary on his body versus his sins. Jesus was about to damn him to hell because all the devils were saying, hey, he's ours. And then Mary stepped in. So the devils go on and say, oh, if only that Mary, and there's a quick parenthesis, it is thus in their fury that they called her Mary. They don't like to even use her name. You can ask any exorcist. When they ask the demons that are possessing someone, they do not want to say Mary's name. And half the time they can say Jesus and they can mock the Our Father, but they will not pray the Hail Mary. So I'm going to continue and repeat that without the parentheses in the middle. Oh, if only that Mary had not pitted her strength against ours and had not upset our plans, we should have conquered the church and should have destroyed it long before this. And we would have seen to it that all the orders in the church fell into error and disorder. Remember, Jesus said, and the evil one will not prevail against it. The church, the Catholic Church, the one that was here from the very beginning. All the Protestant faiths came 1,500 years later. And again, I want to be a part of the church that the world, who is ruled by the evil one, wants to destroy. Now that we are forced to speak, we must also tell you this. Nobody who perseveres in saying the rosary will be damned, because she obtains for her servants the grace of true contrition for their sins, and by means of this they obtain God's forgiveness and mercy. Then St. Dominic had them all say the rosary very slowly and with great devotion, and a wonderful thing happened. At each Hail Mary that he and the people said together, a large group of devils issued forth from the wretched man's body under the guise of red-hot coals. When the devils had all been expelled and the heretic was at last entirely free from them, Our Lady, who was still invisible to the people, gave her blessing to the assembled company, and they were filled with joy because of this. A large number of heretics were converted because of this miracle and joined the confraternity of the Most Holy Rosary. I have to tell you, I did not know that these two stories that I chose for today actually were the same person. So the first story is all about heretics and the rosary, and it mentions the one person who had the 15,000 devils in him. And my second story is about those devils that were inside that same person. who had to confess the power of Mary and the Rosary. So I hope that you realize how important Mary is to the salvation of the world and to our own salvation. So if you're not praying the Rosary, please start. You can figure out how to pray it anywhere online and make it a part of your day. Set some time aside. Don't be multitasking. I was one of these people who just prayed it to check the box. Now I am praying 3 times a day. I'm going to enroll myself in the Confraternity of the Rosary. I want Mary on my side. I want her to fight the demons. You can see how much power she has and how much they hate her. This is why she is ignored in other denominations and in some cases actually hated in other denominations. She is the Mother of God. Nobody loves her more than Jesus. We are not worshiping her. We just pray to her for her intercession so that on our deathbed, she's going to fight for us. And in this world, she's going to fight against all the demons, devils, and Satan who are running around trying to ruin souls like you and me. I'm going to go over to my soul, mind, and body group, and we are going to talk about conspiracy theories or conspiracy facts. And I'm also going to tell you about a few things that you should not be using on your body, in your body, filled with toxins. We're being poisoned everywhere, people. And in these few things that a lot of you probably are using, we need to be aware of how bad they are for us. Remember, soul, mind, and body. The more you know, the more you're going to pray. The more you pray, the more you're going to be wise. The more you're going to be wise, the more you're going to take care of your body. It's all connected. $4.99 below, just click join. Otherwise, I will see you here next time. Find something more with God, soul, mind, and body. And I will come with Rosary, but I'm going to do a second video series about confession because I think so many of us have more things to take into the confessional than we thought. Have a blessed and inspired day.